If I were to forget all of my knowledge in Spanish and start over, this is what I'd focus on. How to repeat without memorizing. Let me ask you a question. As a kid, did you memorize your own language? Like, think about that. As a kid, were you repeating verbs and nouns and adjectives on like an Anki deck, memorizing every single word? No. What were you doing? Well, you were using words, as in nouns, adjectives, and verbs and all that, in your day-to-day life. And so without knowing it, you were doing this, okay? You were consistently studying by using the verbs every single day on a consistent basis. And so then the question is, okay, well, how were we using it? And that's where we talk about how to learn Spanish without memorization, which is what I preach. Because memorization involves skills that aren't useful. Meaning it's all about reading and writing. And the problem with reading and writing is that there are skills that are useless in conversations with natives, which is what the goal is. Because if we define fluency as having conversations with natives effectively, reading and writing are irrelevant. Okay, now obviously you don't want to be illiterate. You probably want to be able to text, for example. But even then, you're gonna learn reading or writing passively in Spanish. And so this whole idea of having an Anki deck where you memorize things by reading and writing, it does not matter. And we didn't do this when we learned our own native language. You know what we did? We actually used it, meaning we used it in our fluency. And if fluency is conversations between natives, guess what skills were we using? Speaking and understanding. And this is simply because that is what the fluency equation is. As kids, we were practicing our verb conjugations and the verb patterns through speaking them and understanding them. Understanding in the sense of listening to other natives speak them, okay? And then understanding them. And so, because we know that that's what fluency is, that's what a conversation is, speaking multiplied by understanding is what we should be repeating on a consistent basis. Because then we're not memorizing, we're actually using. And that's the difference. Because when you use something consistently, you just naturally learn it, okay? Because it is impossible for you to not learn the word salt if every single day at the dinner table, your dad asks you to pass the salt, right? And so the difference between memorizing and using is that when we say using, all we're saying is speaking and understanding. Because in real life, that's what you do with language. Language isn't, sure, like there is the part of reading and writing in language, but if you're watching these videos, you're trying to reach conversational fluency. You're trying to speak with natives. You're not trying to write with natives, right? You're not trying to send love letters with some Spanish girl in your class, okay? You're trying to have a conversation, right? And so most people regard memorization as reading and writing and repeating that. And so to repeat without memorization is to speak and understand. If you want to start learning Spanish for free, then check my bio.